Hi everyone, I'm Colin Butcher and you're watching Pet Detective TV. Now in this video we're going to be having a look at the subject of the rise of dog theft in the UK. I'm going to be answering the question as why it's so difficult to determine just how many dogs are stolen every day, and also having a look at the issue of whether the introduction of a new offence of theft of a dog is going to solve the problem. In a recent interview on LBC Radio, the Home Secretary Priti Patel was asked a number of questions about the subject of the rise of dog theft in the UK. Amongst the answers she gave was a statement where she said we need to get an understanding of what's going on here. We need to determine just how prevalent the offence is. However, in a completely unrelated interview, Deputy Chief Constable Amanda Blakeman, who takes the lead on acquisitive crime with the National Police Chiefs Council, stated the following. Dog theft can be a devastating crime for families and causes considerable distress to owners. Whilst it is still a very rare crime, it is sadly something we've seen increasing recently. Why have we got the Home Secretary giving a commitment to get to the bottom of the problem, determine how prevalent it is, and a member of the Police Chiefs Council turning around and saying it's a very rare crime? So why can't the police provide the Home Secretary with accurate crime statistics on dog theft in the UK? What is going on here? Why the confusion? What we have to understand here is that there are three critical factors, each of which has an equal contribution in causing the police to provide inaccurate crime figures on dog theft. The first of these factors is the way the police record crime on the crime recording systems. Because there isn't a specific offence of theft of a dog, what the police have to do is take the unique circumstances of each offence and decide where that crime should sit. The problem is there are so many different categories, it's very, very difficult for the police to retrieve that information once it's recorded. Regardless of the category offence that the recording officer uses to record the incident, the one consistent theme right across all of the offences is the dog is going to be shown as property. Now that leads me on to two other problems which impact upon the crime stats that the police can produce. Firstly is what's known as the one crime per victim rule. What this means is if a burglary takes place at a kennels and 7 dogs are stolen, it's recorded as a single offence. So when the police retrieve the information, it's shown as one offence as opposed to 7 dogs stolen. The second, and equally as important issue to do with the way the police record crime, is the practice of some officers who do not even record the dog as property on the crime report. And this is not uncommon, and I encounter this an awful lot. And I'll come back to this a little bit later in the video when we start to look at the methods used by criminals. Now, I dealt with a burglary some years ago in the town of Willesden Green, which is in London. And during the course of that burglary, the thieves stole a family car, they stole a handbag, some cash, and they also stole the family dog, a dog called Buffy, a breed that is known as a Cotton de Toulier. Now, I write about this particular burglary in my book, Molly the Pet Detective Dog, and I give a full account of the investigation that I conducted that led to the recovery of Buffy. And senior police officers, you might want to get a copy of my book and read it because there'll be some invaluable tips on how to investigate dog crime in here. So let's take a look at the second critical factor that impacts upon the police's ability to produce accurate statistics on the prevalence of dog crime in the UK. This is the practice of a lot of police forces in the UK who fail to record the crime in the first place. Let's just take a typical example of what happens on a day-to-day basis around the UK. A family are out walking the family dog, and during the course of the walk, the dog disappears. It might have flushed out a rabbit or a pheasant and disappears off into the woodland. Despite hours and hours of searching, the family cannot locate their dog. And upon returning to the car park, they're told by a person, "Oh, I think I may have seen your dog a few minutes ago being walked to a car." So the family do what every other family would do, which is they phone the police to report the fact that their dog has been stolen. Now, when the family call the police, the first reaction of the officer taking that report is to decide whether a crime has been committed or not, and they will listen to the circumstances behind the incident to make that decision. However, Home Office guidelines, which are victim orientated, clearly state that a belief held by the victim of a crime that a crime has actually taken place is sufficient for the crime to be recorded. Well, sadly, this isn't happening, and this is common practice right up and down the country where the police are not recording reports of crime. Now, this brings me on to the third and final critical factor. If dog thieves understand the system, and let me tell you, most of the dog thieves that I deal with or have dealt with have a very, very good understanding of the system, then they can see the merit in making a theft appear as if it's a runaway. And they do this in some cases in very, very simple ways. So if they steal a dog from outside a store, they'll leave the lead and the collar attached to the lamppost where the owner has left their dog. Secondly, if they steal a dog from a garden, then they'll leave the garden gate swinging in the breeze. If they break into a home, then they'll leave a door open. This is all done to convince the owner of the dogs that the dog has run away as opposed to being stolen. If in fact the owners go to the police and say, I need your help, my dog has actually been stolen, then there's the second hurdle of the police not believing the owners of the dog and not recording the crime. So the police are inadvertently helping the offenders get away with the offence. Specialist criminals will go to great lengths to conceal the identity of the crime, i.e. their true intent. You can find out about the 4 categories of dog thieves that I deal with on a regular basis by subscribing to my channel. And when those videos are released over the next couple of weeks, you'll be notified. And what those videos are going to do is they're going to outline the methods that the 4 categories of dog thieves use and what you can do as dog owners to protect yourself. Some dog thieves I've dealt with in the past, what they will do is they'll work in a team. So 2 individuals will scope around car parks and picnic areas, waiting for owners to return from a dog walk. And whilst all the dogs are running around the cars, one pair will go up to the dog and steal it. The second pair will approach the family or the owner of that dog and say to the individuals, I've just seen your dog run off in a different direction. Straight away, the owner of that dog disappears in the same direction to recover their runaway dog, oblivious to the fact that the Samaritan that has just given them a device is part of the criminal team. So, will the introduction of a new crime, a theft of a dog, fix the problem? Well, I don't believe it will. And my reason for saying that is because the police have already stated that dog theft is a very, very rare crime. So their perception is it's not a problem. So the introduction of a new piece of legislation has no value if it isn't actually going to be utilised, i.e. nobody's investigating the theft of a dog. Instead, what we need to do is to address the Home Secretary's question of how prevalent is dog theft in the United Kingdom. And how we do that is by adopting a 4-step plan. Firstly, we all need to agree upon on what we're actually counting. Are we counting crimes or are we counting the number of dogs stolen? Personally, I believe we should be counting the number of dogs stolen and the methods used to steal them. Secondly, every police force needs to introduce a single point of accountability for the recording of incidents and crimes involving dogs. Now, this is particularly important when you consider that the RSPCA have recently announced that they're no longer going to bring any prosecutions for animal cruelty. That means the investigating authority will be the police and the CPS will be the prosecuting authority. So they need to get best practice in place immediately. Thirdly, police forces need to stop this practice of discouraging owners from recording crimes. My 4th recommendation is the police need to understand how dog thieves operate. They need to appreciate that the crimes are not being committed by shoplifters who've migrated like wildebeest across the world of dog theft because all the shops are closed. That isn't the case. They're dealing with organised crime. The people that are stealing the dogs up and down the country are the henchmen, the lieutenants, if you like, for the illegal dog breeders who are making vast amounts of profits by selling through their illegal puppy mill operations. The Home Secretary Priti Patel has stated that we need to understand what's going on here. We need to understand just how prevalent dog theft is in the UK. But equally, we need to understand that this is not a problem that can be fixed simply by increasing the size of a reward for a missing dog or sticking a few posters up in car parks saying thieves operate in this area. What we need to do is to appreciate the fact that it is already reaching a level of seriousness where an individual thinks that it's okay to try and steal a guide dog from a partially sighted person. They think it's okay to knock an old man down in a park and steal his dog, or to beat a young girl up and to try and steal her dog. We need to understand that this is not a quick fix, but first and foremost, we need to develop an understanding of just how prevalent dog theft is in the country. I'm Colin Butcher, the Pet Detective. You're watching Pet Detective TV. Please subscribe to my channel below. And if you like what you're seeing, please add comments. You can also find me on www.thepetdetectives.com or my personal website, www.colinbutcherauthor.com. Thanks for watching and please take care. Bye-bye.